Hello and welcome. I'm Gauhar Raza and you are watching Eureka, a program that brings heroes that have achieved excellence in science. Science has been a very strong pillar of nation building. And a large number of scientists, old and young, have excelled in our country. Today we have Dr. Vijay with us. Dr. Vijay, very welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And I'm amazed, in fact, when I looked at your citation index of your papers and the number of papers that you have written in the best of the journals across the world. How did you achieve that?
Well,
549 citations in 1 year and above 4,000 citations in about 8 years. This is just amazing. How did it happen?
well, thank you, first of all. And I think I've been supported a lot by the people around me, my family, my scientific colleagues, my students, and, have a wonderful support system. My wife, everyone fully supports me. So I think it's a reflection
no
of that.
journal of physics ever could recognize that you have been supported. That's why it's so high.
Well, so it's in a sense that how you choose the problems that you work on. So from the scientific perspective, if you choose the kind of problems that are current, then the work you do stands a better chance to be cited. Because there are a lot of other people working in similar problems, and the science is a very competitive field. And so if you have made an advance, and if somebody uses that advance for making further advances, then you get these citations. So
You were a mechanical engineer.
yes,
And then you took a complete somersault to work in nanotechnology,
and
nanosciences. And then you again take a somersault in a very short period of time to high energy physics.
condensed matter physics.
And
Condensed
matter physics.
Yes.
Yeah, this somersault, how did you enjoy it?
Oh, it's
Fun.
It's a lot of fun. So this all started, actually as a child, I was very fascinated by physics. I was fascinated by things that happen around me, like why the rainbow has these colors and why the sun shines and these sort of questions. And
Why the moon rises,
yeah.
what happens?
Yes, and and then come time when you have to decide on a career. This is after 12th standard. Then you start. People start telling you there's these professional careers to choose and so on. And
You were bright right from the beginning in this school, and you achieved very high marks. I've gone through the
Yes.
biodata.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you are pressurized into taking a professional course. Was it the family? Was it the society around? Was it the peer pressure?
I think it's a combination of all of these things. I don't think I can pin down a single thing that made me choose what I did, but it's a combination of things. You have information coming from various sources, your teachers, your parents, your peers, and then so you.
Your father is a historian and mother did physics.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So was it mother's influence that you eventually shifted to physics?
No, I was actually fascinated by the problems. See, a time came in my life when I decided that I'll be an academic. That I decided quite early on, and then a time came that if I'm an academic, then I had to decide what really do I want to do.
Even as a mechanical engineer, you wanted to be academic?
Yes, I was actually a faculty in mechanical engineering department at IIT Kanpur, for example. What happened was that I heard some talks on these topics sometime in 2005, and then there was this. I was pulled towards these problems. So there was this natural force bringing me towards
Superconductivity.
Superconductivity.
Superconductivity at one point of time was very, very promising.
Yes.
The whole physics world was
Yes.
very excited.
Yes.
At the beginning of the last century.
Yes.
Then comes the period when atomic energy becomes
Yes.
the fashion
Yes.
in physics.
Yes.
Superconductivity has not really reached any breakthrough of
So there was a
this kind.
breakthrough in 1987, and this was by Bednos and Murrell, and they even got the Nobel Prize for it. So they discovered a superconductor which was not supposed to be superconducting at those temperatures. But this is, we are talking 40 Kelvin, which is, still minus 230 centigrade.
Right.
So we would certainly like to have something like that at room temperature. If that happens, then, society will change. I mean, it will be a new revolution. It will be something like the humans discovered fire. It would be something of that
Nature.
Yeah. So, but there are big challenges in this. So even the material that was, the so-called high temperature superconductors, the physics underlying these things have not been completely understood. And there are raging debates as to what is the cause of these things. So given the state of our poor understanding of the physics of these things, it is hard to use these, it's even hard to find what ideas to use to produce a room temperature superconductor. So a huge effort is on in the condensed matter community.
Let me go back to superconductivity for the audience's sake.
Yes.
What is it that we are suggesting? What is superconductivity and why is it important?
I'll try to be as non-technical as possible. So suppose I were to take a piece of...
Generally, scientists are not.
Okay, I'll try to be. So suppose I were to take a piece of copper wire, and if I want to pass a current through it, I have to apply a voltage. This we all know from our daily experience.
And we see on the roads now.
Yes, yes. And when you have this, so the copper wire has a resistance, and there is actually a loss of power because you have to, drive the current across this resistance. A superconductor, one of its properties is that it has zero resistance. So current can flow through it unimpeded. But this is just one of the characteristics. It has many other interesting features which makes it useful for a variety of things. And that's why superconductivity is so attractive from the point of view of both fundamental physics as well as applications.
We'll come back to superconductivity. I have to take a break. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching Eureka. Welcome back to Eureka. We were discussing with Dr. Vijay Shenoy. Dr. Shenoy, we know that there are all over the country now wires. It's a mesh of wires. You can look at the country from the top, that everywhere wire are going. Now, if these wires are made non-resistant at any given point of time, of course, there will be huge saving of electricity that will take place. But that will also violate second law of thermodynamics. We'll be making a perpetual machine.
No, it's not quite a perpetual machine. There's no violation of second law in
superconductivity?
No, there's no violation of second law in superconductivity. One aspect of what superconductors can do is this transmission of electricity without loss.
Right.
But there are many other aspects of superconductors that one can use. For example, one can try to make quantum computers out of them. So you can the lossless transmission is one aspect of superconductivity. Superconductors can provide a variety of other things for us.
So the world is going to change if we are able to achieve superconductivity at room temperature.
Yes.
Now, in our country, like National Physical Laboratory has been working on superconductivity for a long time. What is the hitch? Why can't we make it at room temperature?
Yes, as I said some time back, the things that we don't really understand what produces these superconductors. So I can be slightly more technical about this. So what we believe we need to do is that we have electrons in these systems which are carrying the electrical current. So what we need to do is we need to make the electrons pair up.
Okay.
The electrons generally don't like to be together. They are what are called as fermions.
Fermions
they
do not
apart.
come together very easily.
Yeah. In fact, they don't come together at all. And what we need to do is we need to pair them up, and then they get a bosonic character where they can come together. And when they come together into this one quantum state, that is when we have a superconductor. Now,
generally resistance is caused because the atoms are moving at higher temperatures.
Atoms are moving, and there are impurities which can scatter the electrons. So the electron comes along and then it sees and can scatter the electrons.
So in superconducting state, the electrons do not have this resistance because
they have formed a collective state, and it's hard to
twist. And they behave like a wave, which is a packet of energy and can pass through the in between the spaces of atoms. Now, this problem has persisted over 100 years.
Yes.
We have not been able to solve this problem. You have suggested a state where another particle can be formed probably, or the nature of the particle can change, and we can have bosons, characteristics.
Yes.
That has created a lot of flutter in the world of physics. What is it all about? What are you suggesting?
Okay, so it's a bit of a long story, so I'll go step by step. So in trying to understand the mechanism that produces superconductivity, people have created model systems. They don't work directly with materials themselves. They create model systems, and these are called as cold atom systems. So in cold atom systems, people have tried to produce these kind of superconductors or superfluids. And one way to produce, one of the suggestions that we have made is to produce a high temperature superfluid is to use something called spin orbit coupling. That is, the motion of the particle also gets locked to the spin and the motion, orbital motion gets locked with each other. And this provides stronger binding between two particles. So then you can actually form this bosonic state in a more easier way, even with small attractive interactions that produce the binding.
So in simple words, the problem has been that at very low temperatures, you can achieve superconductivity.
Yes, yes.
But the difficulty is to maintain those temperatures.
Difficulty is to maintain those temperatures, or is it?
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
It's extremely expensive to maintain those temperatures.
So we'd like to have it at room temperature.
Therefore, room temperature. Now, in this whole journey of yours, where you have been recognized by peers all over the world, that is what citation means, that when you've done something remarkable, people cite you for your work. And that becomes the basis for building scientific work, which adds to the scientific knowledge pool. In this whole journey, you have started from India, have got the best, probably, education at IIT Madras. Then you went abroad. Why did you come back to India? Because you could have done great work there.
Well,
was it again the family pressure?
No. I don't think I'm very happy to be with my family back in India. But there was no pressure at all from my family on this front. I chose to come back to India because I just like living in India. It's a very nice place to live.
It's your country.
Yes, it's my country.
It's your
country. And second, and very important thing is that I think there's a lot of scientific freedom in India. There's really a lot of support for science in at least in the places that I've been, IIT Kanpur, IISc, Bangalore. There's a lot of support, and people genuinely let you pursue what you want to pursue. So this, I think, is a remarkable strength.
Are you saying that the culture of doing science is better in India as compared to where you have been abroad? You have been to best places.
Yes. I'm not talking about the culture of doing science. I'm just talking about the kind of problems you can work on. So typically in the West and so on, funding is available.
You've been supported by Department of Science and Technology
and Department of Atomic Energy
and Atomic Energy
and so on. the kind of, we can choose the kind of problems we want to focus on without being too much worried about,
I'm sure younger generation is listening to what you are saying. It's extremely important because the criticism of science in India has been that there is no freedom or less freedom or less maybe opportunity.
But I can see that, there are difficulties, in doing high-end experimental science. So, for example, there are...
Because we are still a developing country.
Exactly.
When
there's no science...
very large sums of money are required, then there
even if you have the money, the technical support base of, high-end research technical support base is not readily available, and we may have to go outside to get it, and we may have to get some equipment, those kind of things. So as a theorist, it's certainly easier, but for doing experimental science, which I think is the most important part of doing science, I can see that it can be a bit more challenging in India than outside.
But you can choose the problems that you want to work on in India and work towards excellence. We'll come back soon. I have to take a break. Welcome back to Eureka. Dr. Shenoy, you have said that there are only 4 things that a scientist requires. Would you elaborate on them?
Yeah, it's not... there are only 4 things. There are crucially 4 things that scientists require. The first is, of course, family. I think it's very good to have a good
support from the family.
Support from the family. I've been very fortunate to have a very nice family. My wife Gopika, she's very supportive of things that my parents have been extremely supportive. The second thing is, I think, your peers, the peers in your department or institution. That's very important. And I'm the physics department at Indian Institute of Sciences.
Science or doing science is always a teamwork.
Yes,
that
certainly.
is what you are saying.
Yes, students.
But for exchange of ideas, generally people believe that scientific journals are the best platform. So that is where the ideas are exchanged.
Yes.
And that is where the collaborations are made. But you are saying that even within the place where you work, it's extremely important to have your peers, your students, those who can throw new ideas up, and you can work on that.
So journals are places where, some idea which is sort of new and matured is chronicled, whereas before it gets to a journal, you need to have discussions with your, with people who can criticize, comment, improve and contribute to some of the things that you are thinking about. And it is also helpful when somebody else comes up with an idea to work with them and think through these things. And it sort of keeps your mind working and active all the time.
So beside formal collaboration, this kind of informal collaboration where people discuss problems, try to crack them, apply mind, and it's a collective mind which leads to cracking some problem.
Yeah, I could have put it better. That's precisely what is needed for, so if there are lots of places in India where, things like this can be brought to bear, this will be really good. I mean, it can sort of raise the overall kind of scientific temper and things of that nature,
How important is scientific temper in the society for doing excellent science?
I think it's absolutely important. I mean,
coming from a young person like you, it gives me a lot of confidence because the older generation was into scientific temper.
Yes.
These days, you don't hear this phrase very often.
Okay, at least in the community that I move around with, and people do think about scientific temper and emphasize its importance. I think it's very important to sort of be aware that one has to create this kind of an environment of scientific temper, and then new ideas will automatically come up and people will pursue these ideas and then they will take them logically through to their conclusion.
And do you think we have sufficient scientific temper in the society?
Well, I think we can do better.
We can do better.
Yeah.
That is a very diplomatic answer. Anyway, what I would like to ask you next is that your work has been very well recognized by the peers across the world. But you have also been recognized by the community within the country. You've got at such a young age one of the best awards that the nation can offer any scientist, which is Bhatnagar Award. There are two things related to it. One, that which of the awards has given you the most intense kick as a scientist? That is question number one. Question two would be that what was the moment of Eureka in your life? Did it come when you attended that conference or workshop in 2005 that now is the time for me to do
Okay, so let me answer your first question. So I'm not sure that you know so recognition is very important. I'm very, very grateful for the recognition that has come my way, and it's I would like to view that recognition in a broader perspective. I think it's not just recognition of me as an individual, but it's a recognition of me or recognition of the set of people I worked around, and you know I might have been one of the names associated with the piece of work, but there are a lot of people who are associated. So I'm actually very grateful for it's sort of a collective recognition. So I don't view it so much as a
and also
personal,
probably recognition of excellence?
You could say that. Yeah, that could be a way to put it, yes. And the second question was
that how do you...
the Eureka moment.
Yeah.
So regarding this specific problem that for which this recognition has come, it happened on the street. Actually, I have to say the Eureka moment did actually there is a precise Eureka moment. I remember it. Yes,
very interesting.
Yeah, I was bicycling back home after having a discussion with one of my friends, Jayant Vyasnagare, who is one of the collaborators in this project. So he showed me some results, and then I was going back home from lunch on my bicycle. I live on campus, so it's just a short bicycle ride away. And then there was a Eureka moment, and then
things changed.
Yes, we saw it all in some sense. Yes.
What was it? What was?
It was this idea that there is this rush-bound state. There is
rush-bound, and the coupling takes place between the particles, and they start behaving in a very different fashion, from fermion to bosonic, and suddenly the change comes.
Yes,
and that could probably lead to
that could give ideas to generate higher temperature superconductivity.
Higher temperature superconductivity.
Yes.
How amazing. Yes, you have to have peace on the street.
Yes.
If you want to achieve moment of Eureka. What would be your message to the younger generation?
My message to the younger generation is very simple. Just follow your heart and go where your heart takes you.
Even if you are a mechanical engineer, you can do very well in any field of science, including superconductivity, which people have left behind for a very long time. You can pick up the thread and work on the problem and also crack it. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
May I, on your behalf, promise to our viewers that if they have any question, query or suggestion, you will be very happy to answer?
Most happy.
Write to us at eurekarstv@gmail.com. We'll come back with another scientist, a hero that is contributing to nation building. Keep watching Eureka every week. Thanks for now.